Okay, so today we're going to talk about writing the equation from a graph. So we're going to write the equation from a graph. That's your title for today. We're going to write the equation from a graph. That's neat. So if I have a graph, let's say I draw a graph and I go 5 every direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here's my graph. So on my graph, you're going to have a line. So let's say your line looks like this. There's my line. Should go through there. Now they give me the line. Now I need to know how to make my graph. Now we know when we do our graphs, we're doing y equals mx plus b. So when we have that, your b is your y-intercept. So that's going to be our y-intercept. So that's the first thing. Your m is going to be your slope. So that's going to be the two things we're looking for. Okay, so now that we have that, we're going to go through and we're going to look for the y-intercept first. My y-intercept is here. This is where it crosses the y-axis. That's your y-axis. It crosses at 2. So I know I'm going to have a plus 2 at the end. Okay, so now I need to find my slope because your y-intercept is on the positive side. Remember, that's positive. This is your y, that's the negative. And then your slope. Your slope, I went up 2 over 1. So that's your rise over the run. So up 2 over 1, that's the rise over the run. So you can either have 2 over 1 x plus 2, or you could just write it as y equals 2x plus 2. Either one of those two will work. Okay, so let's try another one. Okay, go ahead and draw your little graph. So here's my graph. It's going to go 5 every direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. So there's my graph. So this time your line's going to go through here. Through here, through here. So there's my line. So now we're going to have to set this up into y equals mx plus b again. So your b is your y-intercept. That's what we're looking for first. That's your b. You're looking for that. This is going to be your slope. It's going to be your slope. So for your y-intercept, first thing we're going to look at, this is your y-axis. That's the positive. This is your y-axis. That's the negative. Well, it's below the origin, so it's going to be on the negative side, and it's down 1. So now I'm going to have y equals something x minus 1 because it went down, so my y-intercept is a minus 1. So now I need to do the slope. Well, my line goes downhill. So if your line goes downhill, what's your slope going to be? Your slope's going to be a negative. So I know I've got a negative slope. So there's your negative sign. Here's my fraction, bar. So I go down 1 and over 1, 2, 3. So down 1 and over 3. So your rise over run. So it's negative 1/3 x minus 1. Okay, so let's try another one. Remember, anytime you're dealing with this, if your line goes uphill, the slope's positive. If your line goes downhill, the slope's negative. That's going to be your m. So let's do another graph. Here's another graph. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so there's your graph. I'm going to draw the line. And I want you to see if you can do this one on your own. So here's my first starting point. Okay, so pause it now. Draw your graph on here. The points are at 0, 3, at 2, 0, and at -3/4. So there's your points. Okay, so there's your points. Now pause it and see if you can figure out what your equation of your line is. Okay, so we know it's y equals. The line goes downhill, so I know it's a negative, so there's my slope. And my y-intercept's on the top, so it's a plus. And it's up 1, 2, 3. So it's +3. So my slope, if I count, I go down 1, 2, 3. That's your top number. I go over 2, 1, 2. That's your bottom number. So your slope is -3/2. So your equation is y equals -3/2x plus 3. Plus 3, it's a negative line, so there's your negative. You go down 3/2, that's your slope. Okay, let's try one more. Let's try one more. Okay, so there's my graph. I'm at 5 every direction. So I'm going to have there's my line. So my points are at over 1, up 1, at down 2 on the axis, and then this one is over 2, up 4. Okay, so once you get your graph drawn, you go down 2, put a dot, go over 1, up 1, put a dot, go over 2 and go up 4 and put a dot. So there's your dots. Put them on there, connect your lines, and then pause it and see if you can give it the equation. Okay, so here you go. So my line goes uphill. So I know my slope is positive. Okay, so that's a positive, and gonna be a number out here. So my y-intercept, that's y negative, that's y positive. The negative side's down here, it goes down 2. Okay, so -2, it's gonna be your y-intercept. Your slope, I go up 1, 2, 3. Remember, the origin counts as a line. Up 1, 2, 3, over 1. So that's 3/1. You could also just write it as y equals 3x minus 2. You could write it like that, either one.